cliches become realities. It is not always the case. It is not always the case when someone leaves this world so unexpectedly, and you've known them for so many years, that you can truly say that we gathered this morning not to mourn Lenny, but to celebrate him, and to truly celebrate who he was, what he was, and to celebrate his life. I've had the privilege of being one of the old card players. Tuesday nights were sacred, whether it was poker, and I don't remember exactly how it went from bridge to poker or poker to bridge.
Oh, it's definitely bridge to poker.
It was definitely bridge to poker in each other's homes. Yet we are here also to give strength to his family, to Lisa and Peter, to his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, to the extended family, to people who were like friends, who were truly an extended family. Last week, Diane and Ez, Joan and I were out to dinner. And shortly thereafter, the phone call. And said, they were with Ez and Diane. I just saw them. So in a sense, I'm still in a state of shock. Our tradition teaches us, Kol Yisrael, yesh lahem chelek ba'olam haba. Every Jew, every Israelite has the share in the world to come. Whatever you call it, heaven, paradise, Olam Haba, the Garden of Eden, I am sure with all my heart that he's already been invited to the game. I am sure also each of us shares our own special memories, our own special time when we knew Lenny. I don't think I ever knew Leonard Allen Silverstein. I knew Lenny, and that was enough. In our sacred literature, I ask you to join with me in his memory in reciting a Psalm of David, the 23rd Psalm. Some of you know it by heart. Others will recall the words. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green valleys. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And let us all say, Amen. One of the most difficult things there is to do at a funeral service is to truly speak words from the heart, to celebrate a life. The person who is our speaker today, the person closest to Lenny, his loving daughter, the head of their family now, Lisa Hess. Peter, do you want to come with her?
This isn't easy. Peter and I want to thank everyone for coming this morning for the celebration of my father's life. I know many of you had to get up very early this morning to come here today, and I want you to know how much we appreciate you being here with us. I especially want to thank my Aunt Anne and my cousins Paula and Bruce, along with their families, for driving all the way from Lancaster this morning. I know you must have had to wake up really early before the birds this morning. I know Dad is so happy right now seeing us all together. So who was Leonard Silverstein? He was the guy who never wanted to be alone. Then he met Gail. From the stories I've recently heard, he lived to do everything for Gail. He was her knight in shining armor, and she was his queen. They were best friends, and I know he loved her with all of his heart. Gail, you are and will always be part of my family. We were all shocked by my father's his untimely passing. At the hospital Tuesday morning, and though Dad never reopened his eyes, Gail and I continued to speak softly to him. We noticed a tear appear from his eye, and then another. I kissed that beautiful head of white hair and told him it was okay to go and I would be fine. I looked down at him and he shed a third tear right before his last heartbeat. He heard every word we said. Some nights while speaking with him on the phone, I could tell something wasn't quite right in his voice, and I'd ask him if he was okay, and the answer was always the same. I just had my physical yesterday and I'm in great health. He didn't want to worry me. Gail nor I knew he was sick. He told no one, but that's who he was. He never wanted anyone to worry about him, but he worried about everyone. Tuesday night, I was lying in bed thinking about him, and then I realized Dad had an awful lot of physicals within 1 year. Every year. My father was like a faceted gem. He had known so many people. He enjoyed going out to dinners, shows, movies, and of course, clothes. He was always out doing shopping and doing something. He lived an amazing life, fun life, and a life he loved to live, and lived to the fullest he did. His meals consisted of an absorbent amount of bread and butter, chopped liver with chicken fat, and surf or turf. Dad loved his family, and he had an abundance of friends whom he cherished all his life. He loved clothes so much, he would only move into a place that had more than 2 closets. He loved to shop. Dad was always a whiz with numbers. Both of my children excelled in math, but me, I never cared much about numbers. Every kid in school asked the question, why do I need to take math? And as parents, we always told them that they would always need to know math when they became adults. I was a late bloomer, but I can happily say I can calculate numbers in my head very easily now. Every 2 years, like clockwork, Dad came home driving a brand new luxury car. He could haggle better than anybody. If a friend wanted to buy a car, they'd call him to help get the best price. He always knew where to go or who to go to, so he could get the best discount or haggle a deal. He was always looking for a deal, whether it was a card game or buying a car. That was how Dad always operated. When I was a little girl, I always looked forward to Monday night gin rummy game with the guys, as he called them, were at our house. It meant we'd have chocolate and chips in the house. I'd sneak downstairs and pick out all the chocolate-covered raisins I could fit into my little hands. I got caught every time, but the chocolate had already melted in my hands, so I couldn't give them back. I always thought Dad was going to outlive us all. I always believed he'd be around long after the rest of us were gone, just so he could still hit some more golf balls, play more cards, visit the casinos, and have many more milestone birthdays. Dad had the most beautiful head of white hair. In all my life, I've never seen a man over 50 with a full head of hair like his. He never looked or acted his age. He had so much life within him, no one would believe he was 86 years young. After he moved to Pennsylvania, he still drove into Trenton every Monday night. His first stop was to our house, and then we'd all go to Antonio's for dinner. He always had to order something that was not on the menu and drove every waitress that ever waited on him crazy. He was also and still, he went to his weekly Monday night card games with the guys. Unfortunately, most have passed away before him. However, I am so happy to see some of you are still here. Dad moved to Boca Raton about 25 years ago. Early retirement, he said. It was hard for me at first, and I missed our weekly dinners at Antonio's. In Florida, he never gave up his card games and continued to play all those years later. He made a lot of new friends in Florida, many of whom had the same passion as him for card games. Dad learned how to play golf. It was love at first swing, and he'd been swinging ever since. I have to tell you, all of you, that over the last 2 years, my father and I became closer than ever before. I only saw him twice during that time, but he would call me almost every night to see how I was doing. And last week, he and Gail came up to New Jersey to celebrate my birthday. We were to meet at Mass Stories for dinner on Tuesday night, but we never made it. I truly believe he knew he wasn't going back to Florida, his Florida home again, but that he knew he was going to his new home in heaven, where he would be reunited with my mother, for whom he hadn't shared his love with for over 56 years. In closing, I only have one thing left to say. Dad, keep playing cards, play golf, drive a fancy car, and have as much fun of a life in heaven as you did here on earth. Thank you.
I just whispered to Lisa that was magnificent. Lisa, you are a stronger woman and great heart to stand here and share your loving thoughts at a time of celebration of life, but also a time of loss. But more important are those beautiful memories that you, your children, that Peter, that his family, his cousins, all of the relatives and all of the friends will keep forever in your hearts. A few years ago, I did a funeral service, and at the funeral service was a member of a singing family. And she got up, she was a neighbor of the departed, knew her very well, and sang one of the hit songs, a record, I don't think we use the word record anymore, that she and her sisters made called We Are Family. Now you have to imagine you're in a Jewish funeral home, everything is laid out the way you see it, and this woman gets up and starts singing, We Are Family. And people explain to me, because I don't know these things, she was one of the original singers. And at the song went on and on, she got everyone present to sing with her, except the aunt of the departed, who came in from Brooklyn and said to me in a Jewish soft voice, which means everyone could hear her, Rabbi, what kind of fakachta funeral is this? That was a celebration of life. And today, Lisa, at your request, we celebrate life. We celebrate the life of your father, your grandfather, a great-grandfather, a beloved companion and friend and life mate for over a decade. for Gail, a loving friend to so many for decades. Lenny grew up in this area. He lived his whole life here. In his younger years, attended Rider College during the Korean War, and he was a veteran, an honored man who served his country. He served as an MP. He didn't go overseas. He served in the military police stateside. He was a good husband and a good father. And as a father, he, and you too, Lisa, lost your beloved brother. He lost his son not so long ago, whom he loved so lovingly, who called and spoke with each other every day. Alav Hashalom. He was a loving son to Gina and Maurice, and father to Kevin, and nephew and great-nephew. When I met Gail today, I was so pleased to know that the past decade were good years for him, not only because of old family and friends, new ones that he made in Boca Raton over the past quarter of a century. He loved to go on his golf cart. He loved Florida. He was a leader there in his community. He loved to play games, cards, Atlantic City. I think more important, he had to have his mind working all the time. Lenny was a very smart man. An insurance manager, many years in the business. He loved to be with his family, and his passing was so quick. I will tell you, I hope you can all hear me, that he was the definition of a Jewish gentleman. He was, in the finest sense of the word, a Yiddish mensch. He gave his friendship and his love to those who were in his heart with no pretense. And when you looked at Lenny Silverstein, he always looked like a mensch, taking pride in who and what he was. I will tell you, you learn a lot about people the way they play poker. I could never do that well, but I loved the game. I didn't love playing cards. I loved the men I played with. They reminded me that I was a man, that I had responsibilities as a husband and as a father and as a member of a community. And in a very real sense, that's what it was all about. To be reminded of who and what we really were. Our sages teach us that the measure of a person's years are 70, 70 years. Or by measure of strength, as the psalmist wrote, 80 years, 80 years. Lenny Silverstein was given not only 80 years, God provided for inflation. He was given years where till the very end, he was still, as he signed his name to little notes he sent me, Lenny. I brought some of them with me, just to have them at my hand. There's so much we could say about Lenny Silverstein, but I think the most important thing that we should say is that he's at peace and he did it his way.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone were asked, how do you want to leave when eventually you must? Lenny showed the way. No prolonged difficulty or pain or anxiety. But I'm here, and I'll see you in the world to come, in a better and finer world where we can each own our own golf course. And we can play day and night. But more important, my granddaughter Isla, Joan is here. By the way, Joan is coming here today, my wife. In and of itself tells you more than anything else, because she does not do this unless it's something special. Our granddaughter Isla, who's now 9, a year ago Joan went to Jerusalem, and she brought notes to the wall. And Isla wrote a note because Joan's sister passed away just 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. And the note said, because I had the Zeder, I had to read it. Dear God, take care of Aunt Lois. Let Grandpa and Grandma, Rose and Ben, take care of her and introduce her to all the family so that they can take care of her too. And take care of the love that's in my heart. This little Isla has an alta neshama, an old soul. She knows what it's really all about. To Lenny we say on this day, when we do mourn him and we do miss him, that we love him and will continue to love him in our hearts. And he has gone to his eternal home to meet the family who have gone before that he knew, and the family who went before them to learn more about them. He has gone to his reward with honor, with dignity. He is remembered with love. I have to tell you a story I've been telling about our little granddaughter Isla, one of 11 grandchildren. In our family, everyone speaks about my wife Joan's parents, Colonel Ben and Grandma Rose. Isla never ever met them. Her mother got married after they passed away. But since she was like 3, 4 years old, all she talked about was Grandpa Ben and Grandma Rose. And her mother finally said to her, Isla, why do you always talk about them? You never met them. She said to her mother, she was not even 4, Mommy, when I was a little baby, I was in your belly. And Grandpa Ben spoke to me when I was in your belly. And I know everything about him. And now that I'm here in the world, he speaks to me in my heart. Lisa, Peter, to you and through you, to your children, your 2 grandchildren, the great-grandchildren of Lenny. Lenny speaks to you in your heart. Talk of him to your children and grandchildren and those not yet born. Share with him and them stories of who and what he was. A Jewish gentleman, a loving son to his family, a wonderful brother and nephew, a wonderful and loving father and grandfather, a wonderful and loving friend who is in our heart and will ever remain in our heart. We celebrate his life by keeping him alive with our stories. I have never ever signed up for these blood tests, DNA. I only like the stories. I don't care what the truth is. The stories I learned from my parents when they were willing to tell me something, not always, are the things I treasure. The stories you share about your beloved Leonard, Alan, Silverstein are the only stories that count. Tell your children and grandchildren. And we celebrate his life by not letting him die. We celebrate his life by knowing in our hearts there is a place which our grandparents called heaven, Gan Eden. And for sure, he's up there picking out next year's new model, new car. He's up there taking care of the insurance, but also making sure life is well and happily lived. To the grandchildren, I say this as one who is a Talmud Torah, who studies Torah all the time, and to the great-grandchildren. He is now your guardian angel, a personal guardian angel. And when you pray to God, whether it be on the new year or in time of happiness and you give thanks, or time of sorrow and you need strength, you say a little prayer for Label. Lenny Label, it's the same man. That Label, which means the lion, give you strength and give you the ability to joyfully live every moment and day that the Almighty grants you. Lenny will live on in my heart and in my memory. And I'm only a rabbi. He loved you. He lives in you. And as long as you remember and share his story, we celebrate life and we celebrate Lenny. The memorial prayer in his memory, in memory of all those in your family who have gone before. Please rise. Molei rachamim, shochein b'meromim, hametzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina, the ma'alot kedoshim torin kazo ha'horakim mazirim, et nishmas Label ben Moshe shehalach lo lamo, v'gan Eden tei menuchato, Lachein b'harachamim, Yasideu b'seisek nafaf liolamim, V'yitzror b'tzror ha'chayim et nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, V'yanuach b'shol mishkavo v'nomar, Amen. O merciful God who dwells on high, and art full of compassion, grant perfect rest beneath the shelter of thy divine presence to the loving soul of Lenny Silverstein, who has gone to his eternal reward. May his soul be reunited with loved ones who have gone before. May his soul truly be at peace. He has come to his reward with honor. He is remembered with love. And let us say, Amen. Peter, take these, one for you and one for Lisa.
Rabbi, can I say a few words?
Not here. At the dinner, okay?
Right.
Thank you. I ask everyone present to please join in the memorial Kaddish prayer in Lenny's memory as Lisa and I and Peter and the family recite the Kaddish. Yisgadal, v'yiskadash, Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirusei, v'yamlich malchusei, v'chayechon, uvyomechon, uv'chayei, the whole base Yisrael, v'agolo uvizman horiv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach, v'olam v'olmei omaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpoar, v'yitromam v'yitnasei. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei dekudesha, v'yechu. Le'ela min gol bechoso v'shiroso, tush bechoso v'nechamoso, v'amiron b'yomo v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlomo rabbo min shemaya, v'chayim oleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. You may be seated. For those who don't know, I usually wear a gray suit for a funeral or a black suit for a funeral. Lisa last week told me, no black, no funeral stuff. But we're trying to hit the mark of celebration of life, but also honoring someone. Sir, at the time after, I encourage you to share stories. And I encourage all of you to share with Peter and Lisa and the children, grandchildren, your stories. And that way, we are family. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Olin.